Richie Mars. We are here live for the NoSo Post Show, Elimination Chamber 2026. We are not live immediately following the Elimination Chamber. We're here the next evening. Richie Mars, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. How we doing, man?
I'm doing swell. I didn't watch it live last night. This is my perspective. I watched the finish of the women's chamber, and then I went into Seinfeld, and then I watched the finish of the men's chamber when I was waiting at Cold Stones with my wife afterwards. So I did not watch it live, but I was able to watch on rewind. Well, first of all, that ESPN app is annoying to rewind and to catch up, and it's just not a good setup for what we pay, right? But anyways, I'm not gonna harper on that for too long because that's just gonna make me annoyed and angry. So what I want to do is I shut off all my notifications. I didn't go on social media because I want even though I wasn't going to be live, I wanted a live perspective with no real spoilers.
Sure.
So with that being said, I was able to scrummage through and then watch the finish and conclusion of the IC match. I scrummaged through and watched the Punk entrance, which I had no idea was happening until I kind of slowly, hopefully grabbed and then waited 30 seconds for an ad. And we're not going down that lane. And then I took that tab and moved it past the finish, but I kind of felt that Punk was winning, so I was good into the crate. And I landed on the crate scenario, and I was able to see that without being spoiled. And boy, I wish I was spoiled. So that's my experience. How was the live experience for you watching the show? A typical WWE show or what?
Yeah, I was kind of in and out yesterday too, so I was catching up on some things. The only match I truly missed live was the women's chamber, but I saw everything else in its entirety. As chambers go, if you compare it to last year, it's obviously a step down because you're not going to be able to follow last year's chamber, which is arguably one of the better elimination chamber shows that WWE's ever had, if not the best. But as far as like the chamber, it's doing its job, right? As kind of like a roadblock scenario to get to the road to WrestleMania. And I think one of the fatigues I personally get with the road to WrestleMania is that now that WrestleMania is happening later in the year, like you're pushing it back 2 or 3 weeks, you are going to feel like some of these weeks drag. So this is like one of those, okay, the Band-Aid's ripped off. We're finally getting progress to WrestleMania. And with the chamber matches itself, like they were fine, were what they were. Very quiet crowd, very quiet.
For 19,000, that was a little stunning because I did rewatch the whole event this morning. And to your point, where last year the chamber was fantastic, even the year before that in Montreal with Sammy, the U.S. title, and all of that stuff, and the year before that with Perth and everything like that. So they have the expectation in the buildup with Chicago, but I don't know if they have the substance and the depth ready, because my view on the WWE product right now is they had a very successful January TV-wise, built around the AJ Styles stuff, built around CM Punk having a plethora of TV matches because he knew he wasn't going to be on the Royal Rumble card. So it sounded like he was very strategic in having his TV matches. And then I just felt that the Rumble build was good. Once we got to the Rumble, I felt that it was like, all right, we're here. We're not sure where we're going. We have Breaker with the hernia issue, known or not known at the Rumble. We have Seth Rollins in the loop. Like, is Jericho out of his contract? It's like, it felt like a lot of things were in flux. And then it's like up top we have Roman Reigns. What are we doing with Roman? Are we doing the Cody thing? Are we doing the Punk thing? Is Roman resigning? Like all that stuff. Like what's going on there? On the women's side of things, like, all right, well, we've invested so much time in this women's tag division. We've kind of sacrificed Rhea Ripley as a top star. What's the deal with Belair? All right, Belair has to get a knuckle surgery. Liv Morgan, that timing is right, but we don't want to peak too early. So it felt like February was a lot of placeholderness in a way, to your point as well. And that placeholder kind of continued into tonight or yesterday. I felt that this was a placeholder, safe, and good enough pay-per-view. But for the standards of the time, the calendar with Royal Rumble season into WrestleMania season, good enough really isn't the bar. Really, like 2026, we've been so spoiled for the last few years that good enough isn't the bar. So my hope is that they need to kind of have a good WrestleMania season, especially going back into Las Vegas. They need to have that buzz going in because there's a stigma of, back-to-back Vegas, starting on the horizon. AJ Styles even saying WrestleMania has lost its luster. There might see some validity to that in a way. WrestleMania has kind of lost its luster. I don't know. It just felt that good enough isn't good enough for the standard. And what one thing is with Jerry Steinfeld, and I'm going in, and I enjoyed the show, but I was not in the demographic. It was a probably 50 plus demographic, right? But I'm an old soul, and I love Jerry Seinfeld. I love the show, and I enjoyed the 90 minutes of his comedy set, and it was good. It was entertaining, and it flew through, and it was just demographed to a much older audience. Like it's vacation segments. We're having segments on coffee, marriage segments. It's like, all right, I'm at this age of my life where I can reflect, and then I can kind of talk about what is irritants to me. For the WWE, it felt that the catering in this show is based for the advertisers to make the bottom line. And when I've watched that in the past, I've never really had that experience like as a live viewer, maybe because I'm with my sons or with like I have a small crew that come over and watch the show with me, and it feels like a live event. But to watch it on repeat and have the ESPN app kind of lag and be an annoyance, and then just watch so many fucking commercials and so many of this, and then you look at the timestamps, it's like 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 20 minutes, 12 minutes. This is like all the entrances into the Rumble too. It's like, it's an advertisement. Now, it's not a negative. They're going to make their money, but it just felt that the show, the Jerry Steinfeld show, is catered to 50-year-olds plus. And this show is just catered to the advertisers, and the WWE fans seem to be there. If I try to kind of mold those two together in a way, it's not that that's news to me or whatever, but having a different perspective on viewing this, it's kind of how I looked at it as well too, was the lens that I have. And with that lens, that was extremely highlighted to me. And honestly, it's rather a negative in a way. It could be kind of where we're at. They maybe need a reset or a whatnot. Cause I personally, I don't mind the 4 to 5 match card. I don't mind it, but when the expectation doesn't meet it and the bar is good enough or good, that just kind of doesn't match the presumption of what these 4 match cards need to be, because you need to hit home runs like you did in 23, 24, 25. Am I, Richie?
Well, I mean, like if you think about it, a lot of it is kind of like a coasting year, because their money's already made, for next year's WrestleMania 43. So it doesn't matter pretty much what they do between now and then. Their money's already pretty much made. Like after this year's WrestleMania, like everything else is just going to kind of fall into place. And then you're going to have WrestleMania 43, which is already paid for. And they could afford the coast, which isn't the most exciting thing as a viewer.
Yeah.
And for story wise, it's like, it's very, very, I don't want to use the term basic, but it's like, this is their first year on ESPN. So this is their first time pretty much on a global ish, where it's like wrestling's not a niche anymore, to the viewing public. Now it's like, it's kind of being integrated into more mainstream stuff, which is good for WWE because you're going to get a lot new audience drawn to it. Like I have friends who don't watch wrestling consistently, and they're talking to me about wrestling now. So that's a tremendous pro, but at the same time, you can't just alienate one part of the fan base. It's that old saying. It's like, if you try to appeal to everyone, you're going to appeal to no one. And right now, WWE's in that spot where there's some good things that are happening, and you can't deny that. But I feel like a lot of people are expecting more from WWE, and they have a right to. Not saying anything is bad, because like in my opinion, I think Triple H gets a lot of flack. And yeah, he should get flack, but at the same time, the things that he's booking is still like competent. They're just exciting, they're just pretty much standard like practices. It's like, okay, this person, they're fighting. Like the story, yes, does make sense, but at the same time, it's like usually the least interesting road that we're getting to get there. Like everything is pretty basic, like story structure wise.
It just felt like a placeholder show. It felt, and the finishes felt very, TV level. Not that that's a bad thing or whatsoever, because they usually get a very good to great match per Raw, per SmackDown. I seem like that seems like a thing, but you have these big events. There should be more. There should be kind of more to sink your teeth into, and you should feel a little bit more satisfied, because the bar, they can maintain that bar, and the money should not be a placeholder, because it will dissipate and it will shift, and so the perception will kind of turn and cure it on them a little bit. And of course, you'll have your diehards and everyone else that will look at it blind, or just love that it's on and love that what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Part of me even still feels that, but just a different lens of it kind of set me off a little bit right now. All right, one comment before we go, and this is pretty much to the point that we've been talking about the last 10 minutes. Brendan Janu, WWE booking is bare minimum at the best right now, and that does kind of match vibe wise. It's just, are they saving? Are they holding out? Because it's like, I don't think that they do not have good ideas, or do they just not know where those good ideas are going? Is it like we need the IR report in a way? I think a lot of stuff that we have to kind of talk about, and also in a way, it doesn't feel like last year's WrestleMania is a continuance of this year's WrestleMania in a way, because it's like Rhea and Jade, there were different landscapes last year. Cody, he had the John Cena verse last year, and then it's like, all right, we have Punk and Roman, but they were losers last year, and the Seth Rollins thing is just so cold, and it's not their fault in a way too, because of the injuries, but it's also their fault because it never really lived up to the hype of the WrestleMania night one aura.
Well, I mean, it's all about it's all about where you pivot to, you know what I mean? Where it's like, is the pivot going to be the more interesting option? I do think we have more interesting things coming out of the show than we did going into the show.
Yeah.
Because now you could focus on Punk and Roman. Now you could focus on the kerfuffle that's happening with the WWE Championship scene that wasn't really there before, but they set up enough where it's like, okay, you could understand like all these different players who are going to be added into this mixture, whether it's a single, triple threat, fatal four-way, multi-man match, what have you. But again, a lot of this is like you have half the matches that were tailored towards like, oh, they're from Chicago. AJ being from Trenton, but married into Chicago in a way. But again, it's like you want like feel good moment for the audience, and you got that feel good moment, and it's booking based on location, and that might not naturally like go through the television screen, especially because you have a world title match that is not only just a run back match from Ireland, but also like if people weren't going to feasibly believe Balor was going to be this disruptor to the WrestleMania main event. And that's one of the challenges that you have to ask yourself. Was this the right opponent? Was this the right time for it? And then you just kind of have to see like how that storyline is going to go out, because they did their best trying to build Balor, but it's like, all right, we're kind of like waiting for the progression of Punk and Roman at this point. And that's the question that you have to have. Like, is this show just there to progress stories, or is it just there to kill time between Rumble and Mania?
Yeah, I'm just trying to formulate my opinion before we kind of dive into this in a while, just to say where I'm at. On paper, it's a good idea, because you have the Dublin thing and you have the Chicago thing. You have the continuance of AJ. And the goal was for her to win all of this point, however, win at hometown, so you get that hometown feel. We'll talk about that when we get to that. And then the Chambers, all right, well, we'll know where we're going with them at the time. And the Chambers are never really bad. I don't think they were not bad tonight, but the baseline is high, and we'll jump into it. I think we just jumped right into it. We're going to go in order, Richie. Yep. And that's with the Women's Chamber first. Rhea Ripley defeating Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Kiana James, Raquel Rodriguez, an Elimination Chamber match for a Women's WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 42. 24 minutes. Rhea Ripley is your winner. And It started with Jade Cargill purchasing a luxury suite in the pre-show, and Jade watched that whole match throughout from that luxury suite. Richie, if you were Jade Cargill, would you purchase a luxury suite or would you buy a ringside ticket?
I mean, with Jade, it makes more sense for the luxury suite. You know what I mean? You just get away from like the people. She wouldn't be like, oh, why are these people around me in the front row? You know, and if it was Jade, it was like she'd purchase the whole front row just to make a statement because how expensive the WWE tickets are nowadays. But yeah, pretty much like the luxury suite, I think was the right move.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute. It plays to the character, right?
Yeah.
I like it that it's like it's nuanced too, where she's above everyone. So of course she's going to be above everyone in the arena too as well. So, and I love the visual of her like looking down with the 19,000 people upon beneath her and everything else. I thought it was a good touch. All right, the match started with Tiffany Stratton and Kiana James starting the match. Tiffany showboated early. Tiffany scored an early 2 count. Kiana avoided a standing moonsault. Kiana hit her with her own moonsault for a 2 count. Tiffany hit a suplex at ringside on a platform. Tiffany attempted a handspring elbow at the ring post. Kiana moved. Tiffany crashed into Raquel's pod, and Raquel laughed inside the pod. Asuka entered third. Kiana attacked. First of all, by the way, I love Kiana's ferocity. She's being coached really, really hard here. And with the moments that like they're keying on the coaching, I think she's really shining. I think she's matching the push that they're giving her so far from the Rumble, from the Julia matches, the Julia presentation, the tag matches with Charlotte, the tag matches with Io and Rhea. She looked really well, and then I loved how she pinned Charlotte in the chamber too. So they're being very strategic with Kiana James, and that showed here too, showing the violent side, attacking a threat like Asuka too. Kiana attacked Asuka before she could fully exit the pod. Tiffany attacked Kiana. Asuka recovered and dominated offense for several minutes. Kiana captured Tiffany into the empty pod. So, do you agree with the sentiment of the Kiana? And what do you think of the first half of this match for the three women's kind of setup here?
Yeah, I thought it started off well. I think they put Kiana in a very big position to succeed because you weren't going to expect her like coming right out of the gate, you know, with the intensity, with the ferocity, because of one, the character, two, you don't really see much solo action from her. So pretty much anything that you give her in this circumstance, because she's been tied to Julia for so long, it's going to be a net positive because you're not sure what we're going to see in the ring from a singles aspect. And with Kiana, I really did enjoy just how she wasn't playing, you know, she wasn't playing coward. She was playing like to a 180 degree where it's like you could see her and buy her not only in this match type, but with all these stars in general. And she didn't look out of place, in my opinion.
No, and it gets to a point where the word that I used as coach could turn into a negative, but I say that as it's organic in a way too, because if it's like, all right, if she's thinking she's trying too hard or they're setting her up, everything does not feel forced, and she feels like she's fitting in as she is kind of fitting into the roster, and she's relatively green. It's not like she did a lot of things in NXT, but she wasn't pushed at that high level at NXT. She kind of always fit in at NXT and was a player. Here, she's a player with Julia, but she's kind of stealing Julia's shine a little bit too. And as the probably wrong guy said, she is hot.
Well, I mean, like in NXT, she was more of a gimmick, right? She was more of a character. And now it's like and this is what Triple H does with talent coming up from NXT, for better or for worse. The character is kind of like diluted a little bit, but it's like you add that more ring time to make her more believable. And I think you need that shade of gray in order for characters to succeed overall. And I think with this is a giant step forward for Kiana and just her presentation and her opportunities in general.
Yeah. Again, I just wanted to kind of take this moment and talk about her because I'm becoming a pretty big fan of her. I like the pairing with Julia right away, but she's kind of stealing it. We'll see what Julia can get out of it as well too, because all rises raise ships, right? So we'll see there. All right, Alexa Bliss enters number 4. Alexa eyed Asuka immediately. Kiana and Tiffany were down at this time. Tiffany and Kiana battled on the platform again. Bliss hit a twisted Bliss off the pod into Alexa, Rhea, and Tiffany. Crowd chanted, "This is awesome." Kiana super kicked Bliss. Bliss attempted a Sister Abigail. Asuka sprayed mist in Bliss's face. and Kiana rolled up Bliss for the first elimination. Now I misspoke, and that was before. Did I misspoke, or was that before Rhea Ripley entered the pod? Well, Bliss was already eliminated.
I remember Bliss being eliminated very early. I don't think Rhea was in at this point.
Yeah, because Rhea enters fifth. Ripley attacked everyone aggressively, and Alexa and Rhea. Never mind. That was mm-hmm. Ripley and Raquel tension built up. The fans were heavily behind Ripley. So, yeah, my notes are getting a little bit out of order here. But Rhea Ripley entered fifth. Raquel entered fourth, sixth, last. And I do recall liking the dominance from Raquel when entering the pod. Now, in the preview with Mike Richie, mm-hmm. I felt that Raquel had a legit shot. Mm-hmm. This is before the titles dropped, and this was mm-hmm. like I was propping her up as number 2, where I felt that Rhea Ripley all along would and should be the number 1 favorite. But mm-hmm. I was making a devil advocate case for Raquel if the plan was to do something with Rhea and Io at WrestleMania, or have them be in the tag title match. My thing was either Raquel wins this and then makes it a triple threat with the Judgment Day, or she just wins this and the Judgment Day try to stand tall at WrestleMania, and then you get like a Haas fight with mm-hmm. Raquel and Jade. Mm-hmm. But Raquel, I prefer the Rhea. That's kind of what we get. But what did you think of the build up to Raquel leading into this chamber and the presentation with her coming out last?
I think Raquel coming out last was really smart, just because you want to set up that monster. You know what I mean? The bigger athlete that is just going to decimate the entire field. And when she initially went out in the chamber, it's like she just ragdolled Rhea Ripley. She was throwing her against the walls, the chains, and the Davey Boy Smith power slam too. With I think it was Kiana that was getting power slammed, but mm-hmm. leading up to that double elimination pin with Kiana and Asuka really did demonstrate that Raquel was going to be the dominant force that you had to overcome in this match. And I thought that was pretty well done. I think the formatting of this match was really well done in comparison to the chamber match that we're going to have later in the show. And I really preferred the flow here than in the main event. And I really think everybody played their roles really much to perfection. The only thing you could kind of argue was Asuka didn't really get too much, but she did have the gimmick, the mist that led to Alexa's finish, which could lead to, Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Alexa at WrestleMania. So it's setting up some potential things there as well.
Or a baseline of a multiple women's, and then it just gives them more depth within that multiple women tag match at WrestleMania. Because I think that's where it's pretty obvious that where Charlotte and Alexa are going to fall there. And I'm glad that they're going to have a WrestleMania match together historically.
Got to throw the bells in there too, because they made their claim, So
any chance I don't want to go on a tangent here, but is there any chance they do a ladder match or they put the Bellas in a ladder match?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oof, that would be crazy. Can you imagine Brie just yes, and then someone flipped the ladder, and then she's just tumbling down into the tables?
Does the ladder spot where they go through the ladder?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Welcome back, Brie Bella. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's see, you were in that Royal Rumble applaud, so now take this ladder bump into another mm-hmm. ladder.
Yeah.
But yeah, the presentation of Raquel was really, really strong, and I love that she absorbed all of the women's brutality coming at her and whatnot. And then I love that double pin on Kiana and Asuka too, off the Tayana bomb. Menacing, powerful, into the presentation of Raquel to look like a menacing force going forward, or to really keep that momentum that she's been slowly building up ever since really the Survivor Series, or really right before Liv returned. She was kind of building, they were putting a lot of equity into Raquel, and it started building. And unfortunately for Raquel, I did not like the Vaquer street fight, and I hope that they don't look at that as a knock against her or whatever. But I still think they're kind of trying to put into her, and she's a pivotal part of the Judgment Day thing, wherever that heads at WrestleMania. She's a low key breakout coming out of that as well, in my opinion too. So I'm glad that they gave her a lot in this match to continue that mental up, and they're still building into her. Mm-hmm. All right, the final four. Or the final three, that is Ripley, Raquel, and Tiffany, right? Mm-hmm. So the fans, were you surprised when the fans started to really get behind Rhea Ripley here down the final stretches, or were you surprised, or what did you feel versus Tiffany with that? Because those are the two favorites, the crowd favorites, really.
Well, I mean, with Rhea, it's been a while since she's been in the singles, division. She's been doing the tag story with Io, which I think was a tremendous success. So you're going to want her to be in a successful position, to be in a prominent spot. And of course, this is for a shot at the WWE Women's Championship. So you want to see her back in that title picture. And Rhea Ripley is, without a doubt, probably one of, if not the most popular star in WWE right now. So you want her to have that success in that chamber. And I think fans were clamoring for it, because if she was in this position all this time from, let's say, last year's WrestleMania, I feel like it would be Rhea fatigue a little bit. And you might still feel Rhea fatigue, going into another WrestleMania, another title match. But it's one, a different scenario. And two, she's been doing a thing with Io, which has been tremendously popular. So even if people were kind of poo-pooing the story with Rhea and Io, I think it worked to her benefit, because now you don't really have fans that are booing or souring on her.
Yep. One comment here, probably wrong. Raquel was my dark horse to win. She finally looked like she could hang in there. So, that was the point, and I'm glad that she was. But I like the elimination too, because it was a little protective of who she is. We just kind of propped her up for the last few minutes, but
it's also something unique too, which I really like with the elimination.
The uniqueness of Rhea leaping off the pod into a cannonball onto Raquel, and then Tiffany with a beautiful moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. I like that Tiffany got the pinfall, because it's a little something for Tiffany. Right, it's just like, all right, Tiffany's not winning. Let's give her a pinfall, and we've seen Rhea pin Raquel enough, right? So it's just,
and also Tiffany's protected too. Tiffany's protected too, because she started off the match, and honestly, when she was starting the match, the pace in the match was really good as well. So I give her credit for that. Her and Kiana.
Yeah, I think that Tiffany had a really good night, quietly in a way.
Yeah,
the final two, Rhea and Tiffany, they cut to Jade watching from the suite. Tiffany hit 2 Alabama. That was a gnarly Alabama slam, by the way, for a 2 count. It looks brutal. It looks like, if it's safe, who cares? It looks awesome, right? But I wonder if they try to reel her in, because that's a move that she delivers that with a lot of velocity, and it looks great. And then Tiffany hit a swanton. Rhea moved. Ripley slammed Tiffany face first for a 2 count. Tiffany hit another swanton 2 count. Tiffany attempted a prettiest moonsault ever. Rhea shoved her into the pod. Ripley grabbed her for a riptide. 1, 2, 3. Tiffany finishes the match with a bloody nose. So there was just enough left on the meat of the bones, but they did just enough to kind of deliver. Was it the best women's chamber ever? Perhaps not. Last year had a lot more fireworks. Was probably a lot more.
Started off with more of a bang too.
Yeah, a lot more depth late too. By the way, perhaps maybe, but I felt that there was just enough here, and Rhea should be heading into it. So business as usual, and mind you, the story was Rhea Ripley with the hurt back all match, because she took that avalanche slam from Nia 48 hours or 24 hours ago, excuse me. And, she just lost her tag title. She took the pin. So she was kind of down all match and surviving, and she had just enough in her to outlast Tiffany. I thought the story of the match was pretty much good enough. And it delivered to, 3 1/4, maybe 3 1/2. We'll see. It was good, pretty good to very good.
Right. Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. Like you said, not the best women's chamber, but again, not that doesn't mean it's bad. It's everything flowed really well. I didn't really think anything was too out of place. I think everyone played their role to near perfection, and everybody pretty much looked good in it. Everyone had moments to shine, and I really thought everyone's stock pretty much increased after this match was done.
Yeah, and I think you agree, Rhea is the right move.
Out of the 6 that we have, I was concerned, because I did make a video on this. I was concerned because it's look, if Rhea retains on SmackDown, that's not really gonna look great, for her chances in the Elimination Chamber, because I don't see them just splitting off the Rhea and Io doing singles matches and doing a tag match at Mania. But yeah, Rhea would make the most sense to face off Jade. It's a match we haven't seen before. It's something that they subtly kind of teased in the
Yeah.
weeks to come, but we never really got that band-aid off. I am interested just because, they're on different brands, so who knows how they're gonna play off each other with that scenario, if they're gonna have different people on different shows, everything like that. And yeah, it's gonna be a big test for Rhea and a big test for Jade because there's going to be a lot of eyes on this match. And with the announcement of ESPN2 and ESPN, depending on when this match night is on, I could see this being one of the matches that they're going to show on ESPN in order to showcase WWE as a whole.
Yeah.
So
Rhea has a
it's going to
track record of opening WrestleMania, night 1 and 40, night 2 and 41, right? So that's a really good call, Richie. I'm curious how the presentation is. Do they kind of make Rhea to be an underdog? And what does that do for her character? How does that do with her presentation? Right? Because I think that's probably the move. And I don't know. I want to see how she wrestles an underdog. I think that's the story. And building into the kind of the back injury that she played into all match as well too. So it's just like they're trying to set up the baseline story for the powerful Jade versus the vulnerable Rhea. Will Rhea overcome? And will Jade be too cocky? There's some substance there for sure.
Yeah, we've seen Rhea, like fight from underneath before, with Raquel and Nia. This is just going to be a different kind of test though, because you have Jade, and Jade has been really, really protected. And some might say her championship reign has been boring since her first defense happened 100 days after the fact. But again, that's for WWE creative to
decide. Here, I can't wait for Rhea to take the belt off Jade and end that horrible run of just walking around backstage holding the belt. And there's a little substance to that there.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of part of the Jade's character too. She'll defend it on her time, which is, again, from an audience standpoint, that's not the most exciting story, but from a character standpoint, you could understand why she's doing it. So, but it's going to be an interesting interaction. This is what Triple H's like kind of creative is really good at doing, where it's like there'll be teases here and there of different matchups, whether it's Jade and Charlotte, Jade and Rhea, like all this different things. And then you have on the other, like the men's side, you have Cody Punk. You had Punk and Roman for a while. And then just like finally paying it off and seeing like if that subtle buildup is good for the eventual buildup that we're getting. So again, I'm looking forward to it. I expect this to open either night 1 or 2, be a part of ESPN2, ESPN1, and we'll see what happens. But again, we'll see, because you're putting Jade in that big prominent position, and who knows if she's ready, or WWE thinks she's ready to take on that position.
I like to see where Io Sky falls in this too as well. I'm not trying to say that there should be a triple threat, but I like their friendship of Rhea and Io. Yep. Do they continue it? Do they move apart, or is she like a supporting player? Does she kind of fall on SmackDown versus Julia? Like, where does she?
I'm going more for Julia, just because, just because, like, one, it will make sense for Io to like accompany Rhea to SmackDown if she's facing off against Jade, and they've already had a couple interactions. They canceled that match on SmackDown. They had Rhea in her place.
My point next, yes.
So it's like I think they were holding off on it, and it's important to note, but you got Clash in Italy coming up too, so who knows if it's like that's gonna go past WrestleMania with Io and Julia, because with Julia she has ties to Italy as well. So it's I could see Julia in a prominent spot there. But for WrestleMania, I think Io and Julia would probably be the right call if they decide to do it there.
Yeah, good call. All right, so ajlee defeats Becky Lynch in 15 minutes and 40 seconds to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship via submission. Richie, this is a match that we talked about leading into the chamber, and they did the fake out spot. And I was just like, we're fucking geniuses, Richie, for kind of seeing that they're going to do the fake out spot, which will lead into the WrestleMania match. But no, it led into the finish. And I really liked that they gave us that. You had Jessica Carr in there, of course, who was the referee for Becky Lynch, seems to be all the time when Becky loses. And Becky's had this underlying rivalry building up with Jessica. And there's been rumors where Jessica is wrestling and involved before the shows and trying to get her feet under her again to have a match. Now, that feels like a Raw match not a WrestleMania match. So we'll talk about coming out of it. But what did you think of this match here? I felt that 15 minutes maybe was a little bit too much in a way. And I really couldn't get past what Becky was wearing in a way too. Like it was very like, I'm coming out of the Seinfeld show and she's like, I want to be a pirate with the puffy jacket. Like she had like the puffy sleeves on. All I could think about was, I don't want to be a pirate with her sleeves on. So I was just like, what is this? So it was some footing issues, to put it lightly. You know, it just felt that they were playing into the ajlee rust, and they maybe felt that that was going to be an issue, so they played into it with the build and the through lines with the announcers and everything. But I don't really think we need to kind of dig into the move by move here. What's your overall feeling of this match? I liked the layout, but I don't know if I loved the execution, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I thought there's some Gaga in here, you know. I thought AJ did, you know, she did fine, you know, for again, it's her first singles match in what, 11 years, give or take. So there was going to be a lot of like smoke screen for that. And the Becky character is kind of like, if you like, people like the Becky character where it's just like she's doing like, you know, the Trump thing with the, you know, all caps, you know, crooked car, or just like you know, just all the nicknames for everybody that she views wronged her. Like people are going to get amused by it, but at some point it might wear out a little bit. And during this entire AJ Lee feud, it kind of feels like they leaned a little bit too much on the comedy side of it, in my opinion, with Becky just like being like just trying to act crazy. Like this AJ Lee is just like this big nuisance that's like hindered her. But it's like, at the same time, is she really a nuisance? Because she's not really like there. You know what I mean? She did cost Becky the IC title against Maxine. But other than that, it's like, you like, between like War Games and Rumble, nothing really much happened between the two. So again, it's one of those stories where there are some missing pieces, and I feel like we're going to get the full execution at WrestleMania, and hopefully we get to see like what they have planned now that AJ has her first singles match under her belt, to see if they were holding out more for what's happening at Mania, or if there are going to be more players involved. But yeah, 15 minutes, like, again, they wanted to give you enough AJ Lee, because AJ, during her time in WWE, she hasn't, like, I don't think she had a match like this long. I could be wrong, depending on it.
Probably
but
not a singles match anyways.
yeah.
They were lucky if they got 5 or 6, really.
Yeah, so it's like, again, it's a whole new different style. You know, you're just basically doubling, maybe even tripling like what you used to wrestle in WWE for a point. And AJ being the Intercontinental Champion, I think, is a fine move, because one, the IC title on either Becky or AJ is going to guarantee that title is going to get a significant spot on WrestleMania, which is a big plus. And then you just kind of have to tell the story of, is AJ going to walk out of WrestleMania as champion? Is Becky going to regain that title? But what I would do is, like, I would, if you don't have that title, like post Mania between the two, you have them drop it post WrestleMania to kind of like give the landscape a little bit more refreshness, because we had Becky in the IC title division for a good portion of the year at this point, and she's done a lot to elevate it. But now, is that elevation going to be with AJ Lee, or is it going to be with a newer star on the rise?
Yeah. Curious where they land here, but just back to the structure of this match. I liked it. I just would have shaved a little bit out of it. It felt that, you know, creeping on 15 is a little much. It's like, athletically, she could do 15 with Lyra, because they can fill it with wrestling and sequence and stuff here. Now they had to fill it with like ref bumps and some Gaga and some crowd activity that they perceived but didn't translate, because the crowd wasn't really there after the entrances, because I don't know, it just wasn't enough. Maybe I couldn't get past the presentation of nerves and rust, right? It's just like, I think that's perhaps what AJ was feeling, and they were maybe a little bit nervous. So they presented that in the match to kind of give AJ a crutch to kind of get her footing underneath her as well, too. And I think it overall hurt the kind of presentation in front of you. Maybe if they would have gotten into it but the plan was the plan, and let's see what we got. All right, so coming out, Becky Lynch, Ajlee at WrestleMania, Jessica Carr at WrestleMania, or what at WrestleMania for Becky Lynch? Because Becky Lynch is going to be at WrestleMania 40, but in what context?
It's going to be ajlee at WrestleMania. I think it'd be a fun little twist if it was revealed at WrestleMania that Becky paid off Jessica Carr, and then you have like Jessica kind of like doing the 180 of trying to cheat for Becky and just kind of like
Danny Davis in 2026.
yeah, might maybe do something like that. But again, I think it's Becky and AJ for WrestleMania. The thing is, it's like you're in this pickle where it's like you had this match, but it's like you know you're gonna have the rematch. So what else are you saving for the actual WrestleMania match? So
yeah,
again, it's a question.
And what substance is that going to have? Now, I like the idea, Richie, but I don't know if I like it for Jessica Carr. If Becky Lynch petitions and gets the new blonde girl or Leon Ruff's wife in there, and then like that girl is laid out with getting paid off, I just don't think that the Carr payoff would work. I want to see the Carr match in a way, in a small way, not at WrestleMania. I don't think.
Well, I think you do that on television, and then then you have
Becky beats her. She can't be the ref at WrestleMania, and then that's where you get Leon's wife. Asia. What's her name? I can't think of her name. Or that new blonde left from Rhode Island, right? I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so I think that it's fun, Gaga. So it's like Again, the match was fine. Like AJ, I think she looked good. Becky did her job well, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the match.
It's a little bit unfortunate. That's all we can have to say about it. But I don't think it was bad. It just felt like Monday Night Raw.
Like it felt like what I expected.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it's
the bar
something,
wasn't high. So what do we say?
like the thing is, it's like when you expect something and they deliver to you, you're like, oh, maybe I wanted a little bit more. You know what I mean? So it's just like, not disappointed. I'm just like, oh, okay, like it's pretty much what I thought it was gonna be.
All right, and then we hear the Alan Parsons Project. Are you familiar with that theme song from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan? Oh, beautiful. Richie, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The scrolling. I'm not going to go over the scrolling on your phone again, but that's one time where the scrolling landed perfectly for me trying to find it. Because you also have the pre-show built in. So it's like you're trying to scroll on fucking 5 hours of content. Ugh. But anyways, I found fucking a thumbtack and a barrel of hay here when I stopped on this Alan Parsons Project, and I was like, oh, I instantly got butterflies. Like, oh, that's such a good idea. It really truly is. And then Punk, true to himself, with his Chicago Blackhawks gear, and then with Larry on the back of the custom jacket, it just felt that everything CM Punk, everything Chicago was built into it. And there wasn't much hoopla. There wasn't much theatrics. It was just simply to the point, and that's all it needed to be. Yes, probably wrong. Epic intro for Punk. It was phenomenal. Anything on the intro, Richie?
I really enjoyed it. Whenever WWE can kind of like pseudo like either pay tribute or just kind of like reference something where they're from. This of course being the Michael Jordan intro with the Chicago. And I did find it kind of like strange because it was like, oh, Michael Jordan intro, but it's Blackhawks gear. You know what I mean? So that was kind of thing. But again, Punk, I think just watches hockey and not basketball. So yeah, again, it's also a subtle like nod that like Punk is the Michael Jordan currently of WWE, and he's going into this big match with Roman Reigns, and you could argue it's the biggest WWE match in Punk's career since this is probably going to main event night 2 of WrestleMania. So So pretty much like hierarchy level, it is going to be the main, like biggest match of his WWE career. So it's like a subtle little thing where it's like Punk is feeling his position in WWE, and it's a shame because we're fans of Balor, right? We're fans of Balor. The story of Balor has been told very well, and I feel like it's been overshadowed just because people want to see CM Punk and Roman for good reason,
Yeah.
But the Balor character arc is doing really well. But having, running this match back in Chicago and Dublin already set like a pretty high bar to begin with, like it was going to feel like a sequel, and either sequels are going to be really good, like Godfather Part 2, or really bad, like majority of the other sequels, So it was a tough task, and I think they did an admirable job of it. But it's like you're still leaning into like the old man Punk kind
Yeah.
of style, where it's
And they painted a picture
yeah,
of that too.
yeah.
They said, CM Punk's first WWE match in Chicago in 13 years.
Mhm.
Punk's aware of Father Time catching up, and possibly his last month or his last match in Chicago.
Mhm.
And the crowd ferocity for CM Punk. I can only imagine being a Chicago Bulls guy or a Chicago guy in general, hearing that and then realizing Punk is coming. It's just like you're hitting all the feels of everything. Chicago Bulls, Punk, everything. It's just I can see why they kind of dissipated after getting so ramped up in a way too. Right. So I don't blame them on dissipating, but it was a methodical exchange between them to start the match here. Balor targeted the midsection of Punk, which was smart. And the abdominal area was the targeting point for the coup de grace. So it told a really good story right off the rip. And I like that we're building up the midsection for Punk too, because what's Roman's finishing move? Right. Superman punch into a spear. Right. So it's just we're layering the vulnerability going into WrestleMania, but we're really targeting a body part for Finn Balor to win. So the structure and the substance of the match is playing up to par, so to speak. Right. And Punk dove into Balor at ringside, top rope clothesline by Punk for a 2 count. Commentary teasing WrestleMania opponents would be, who do you think Roman would prefer, Punk or Balor? Who would Roman Reigns prefer, CM Punk or Finn Balor at WrestleMania?
Well, I mean, like, who's going to give him the least pushback, political wise? Just in general. I mean, the fix was in with the last Roman and Finn match. Remember the turnbuckle? Like, I do like how the canonical reason for the turnbuckle exploding. Do you remember it?
Do I want to? What was
so Paul Heyman said it was an act of God that caused it. So God made an appearance for WWE in 2006 as a tag partner to Shawn Michaels, and then he just turned heel on Balor.
All right, we got some Chicago faithfuls here. From being a Chicago kid, the entrance was everything. Breaks through the smark in myself and makes me fully invested. And that's JP, a Laps fan from the Modern. So he dives in, loves Chicago, big Bears fan, as you can see by the logo. JP, what's up? Happy birthday, by the way. It was his birthday this week or this month or whatever, I think. So shout out to you, buddy. But like I said, the story of the match was to really get to the core of it. The corner battles, Punk and Balor knocked Punk down. Balor attempted a coup de grace. Punk moved. Punk bleeding from the mouth at this point. We're getting deeper into the match, Richie, but we're just going to kind of bludge through here. Running knee in the corner, top rope elbow, 2 count. Punk visibly clunking the abdominal. Cole says Punk looks physically spent. Again, playing into the story of Old Man Punk. And Old Man Punk, they played into it with Gunther. They'll play into it with Roman, I'm sure. I like Old Man Punk. I really do. It's smart. It's strategic. It's to the point. It plays into his strengths now, which is really grit, a little bit of vulnerability, but just veteranness. Really.
I mean, it's a very like.
I love it. Honestly,
I feel like Punk is portraying his career as if Bret Hart was his age still wrestling in WWE, at least from like a match structure wise. And that kind of makes sense because Punk is a big Bret Hart guy. But it just kind of like these matches, you're either going to really love them or really not love them. Just because of how it's set up with Punk, like taking a lot of the heat and then some more heat and then some more heat. And then it's going to end fairly quickly to compensate. That won't compensate for the heat that was already drawn out.
Yeah, but if you keep having that structure and delivering with that, you're going to get investment in later matches, and the story is the story.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying for fans who don't like that kind of slow.
No. It's just strategic doing that.
Yeah.
But When they get to the crescendo, they pick it up. Punk hits a GPS. Balor momentum carries to the outside. Balor hits a sling blade on the floor. Running drop kick sends Punk through the barricade into the timekeeper's area. The crowd chants, "Holy shit!" Coles refers to Punk as a dead carcass, the sharpshooter spot, right? So Balor drop kicks Punk into the corner once they're back into the ring. He attempts a second coup de grace, whatever, you get what I'm saying.
Coup de grace.
Coup de grace. Coup de grace. Punk counters with the sharpshooter mid-ring. Balor grabs the bottom ropes at 19 minutes. Fan sign says, did you catch this?
No, what did it say?
A fan sign. I wrote this down. A fan sign. I mean, Punk could win, right? And the could win was all bold and large. Punk could win, right? And I thought that was fun when they panned to that after he went to the bottom rope and grabbed it. So I like that WWE is playing into that, like Punk's winning type of thing.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the coup de grace attempt into the sharpshooter?
I really liked it. It was almost like you were hoping that Punk would like get the sharpshooter because it was such like a good creative spot. Whereas, you know, he has the foot up, coup de grace, gets him in the sharpshooter, and you saw Punk kind of like, you know, not rocking it, you know how The Rock did the sharpshooter, but he did like the full like go on back with the sharpshooter. So I thought it was a fun spot.
Yeah, I like that. I don't want to say clunkiness, but it didn't feel theatrical in a way. It felt like it played.
It didn't feel rehearsed. It felt like this is like in the moment where it's like it was a rehearsed spot, but it's just like there was still that grittiness there where it didn't look clean.
Played into the Punk grittiness, played into the structure of the match, right? And I will say the finishing stretch, Punk stomps Balor's arm. The crowd chants, "This is awesome." Punk hits a second GTS for a clear 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. For what they would do afterwards with the handshake and whatever, and and Balor really playing by the rules for the most part all match, they were playing into the handshake and they were playing into the next part of each guy's. They weren't playing into having the epic on top of the epic from Raw, because I feel that the Raw match was better, but I feel like this match was baseline of that, but not designed to be better, because it would have came across as theater, as play, as like we're trying to have a great match instead of we're trying to advance our characters to the next point. So it's like we're going to go out there to have a very good to great match, but that's going to be our ceiling because we need our characters to set up to go past this match. The goal isn't to have a phenomenal match where in, perhaps other companies it's like phenomenal match. That's always the goal. The goal is the investment in the guys coming out of it, because we already had the phenomenal match on Raw that I went 4 1/4, and here I'm going 3 3/4. Very good. Very good with baseline grade at times.
Yeah, it was to close the chapter of this guy, each guy's like feud in this sense, where Punk was the one who offered the handshake first in their first match. This time it was Balor who did it, which shows like it's kind of like it's a little subtle, but it was like Balor showing it's like, all right, you got this, you got this run. And this doesn't mean like the end of like Balor in the main event scene. Hopefully it's far from it, but it's the beginning of Balor's new character arc, where is he going to be babyface? Is he going to be a more honorable heel that we see from time to time? And with Punk, it was more about being like he didn't need to, like even Pierce said, you don't need to defend the world title, but he's like, I'm here anyway. I'm going to make these towns. I'm going to defend this championship. And that's the antithesis between him and Roman, or at least that's what he's trying to portray on the post show.
Yeah. And mind you, Richie, too, you can, I like that you brought up the point where Punk offered the handshake in Dublin, like, hey man, great fight. You're playing into me wanting to test myself to get ready for WrestleMania, and you almost had me in your home country. Great job. And Balor's just like, fuck, I was this close, good matchup. And then the Judgment Day guys kind of get in his head, pull him back to those pull him away from how he
Mhm.
felt at the end of the match in Dublin.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I need to get my edge back because the goal is to be the world champion. So he wrecks the AJ match or whatever. And then he kind of turns into Judgment Day Finn Balor, and he kind of heals up heading into this match. And then he didn't heal in the match because part of him wants to be a good guy.
Mhm.
And that's where the character arc is. And then here he's just like, he realized that he is good enough. He just wasn't good enough this night.
Mhm.
And he's good enough when he's true to himself, a good
Mhm.
guy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's where he needs to just kind of craft his skills, craft himself, and just sharpen where he's at as a good guy.
Mhm.
And that's probably where he's leading. And that's obviously going to be a deflection heading out the Judgment Day,
Mhm.
heading into WrestleMania, perhaps with
Mhm.
Dom or JD or whatever fraction heading into 41.
Mhm.
He's kind of established himself and he's found himself. And that's through the 2 Punk matches
Mhm.
in the world title on the main event
Mhm.
scene. And to get back at the main event scene, he knows what he has to do pretty much.
Mhm.
And that was the goal of this match. And that's why it was a successful match, even though it wasn't as good as a Dublin match, or it
Mhm.
wasn't as good as a world title match should be, but it was good enough to get where these characters are going.
Mhm.
And that's what I liked about it a lot.
Yeah, again, a lot of subtleties with the Balor arc, which I really like. Where, when AJ was retiring, Finn was the only one who was dressed up for the event. You know what I mean? And that could too play a factor in why Finn Balor is kind of changing his entire demeanor and look. Because yeah, he ruined the Punk AJ match, and now it's like he has that kind of like weight on his shoulders, where it's like AJ is no longer going to be in WWE now. Like in order to get another shot, he had to do that. But now, after this entire matchup, he's like, now I'm ready to accept that this is who I want to be going forward. And that was the whole point of the Punk Balor feud, I guess, to begin with.
All right, and then we're at the tipping point with the AJ stuff. She runs out here with her IC title. Punk would later post an Instagram photo that I'm not going to endorse here, but I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
He's
I
very.
have.
I think he's got like a bra of the U.S. title, and he has an underwear of the men's title. So yeah, it's interesting, and they just enough before we start to boil over with all the AJ of it all. But I get it; they're in their hometown. I'm sure this was a special moment for them, and it worked, and it was just enough. So kudos to them. I'm surprised that AJ won, because I felt that we were going to get that at WrestleMania, but not here. But the story is the story, and we got it here, and they peaked as a couple tonight as double champions. So I think that's pretty cool for them, being away for the WWE since 14 and then 15 for AJ. So good stuff in my opinion.
And now we're going to talk about your favorite part, right, of the show.
Very evil of you to bring that up, or
very nice, very evil.
Very nice of you to bring up. All right, I caught this without spoiler. Again, I'm not going to go over the dragging of the cursor, but when I stopped, I saw a very thick Danhausen, and not the real Danhausen, and perhaps there was a not evil, not nice, but like a sexy tinge to this Danhausen. And I felt that the crowd was like, okay, like I mentioned, the tipping point of Punk and AJ was before this, and this screams CM Punk. And as a big CM Punk fan, I'm not gonna like Danhausen. Let's just put it that way. Like I get it. I would be very shocked if I got to liking this Danhausen thing. I don't think it's going to overwhelm you on TV. I think it's going to be very backstage-ish. And I think that we already have those guys in the Kit Wilson, who's better at it, the R-Truth, who's extremely better at it. I don't know. I think that it's unique and interesting at like sometimes, but I'm open-minded to see the presentation from the WWE lens, because the first night, you could look at it as being overhyped, or you could just look at it as being hyped, or you could look at it as it being underhyped. But however you look at it is unique. But I kind of did like the thick Danhausen. I'm not gonna lie, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it was what it was going to be. My expectations were set really low for the crate, because to be like at bare minimum, I thought it was going to be like loot crate kind of thing for the new video game. It's like, oh, scan this QR code and you get a you get a discount or something like that. But for Danhausen, he's one of those characters that are it's there. He's kind of polarizing. You either really think you really enjoy the act, or you just don't get it and you don't think it's funny. Personally, I'm just like, I find it amusing. Danhausen's amusing. He's doing very well for me in TikTok right now.
Yeah,
But
six figures on the views, right?
six figs, yeah. But again, Danhausen's one of those characters where people either get or don't get. And when he was in AEW, I'm not sure if people really got his presentation, but you can't deny that the guy worked hard in his craft. Like, he created a character that got over to not just like independent wrestling fan level, but also like outside of the wrestling fan level. There are people that I know who don't watch wrestling that know who Danhausen is, so he's kind of like, not saying cross appeal, but it's like there are people who know Danhausen for being Danhausen. And there was a streak where he was number one on Pro Wrestling Tees. So you don't get that kind of like marketing by accident. So he knows what he's doing. It's just dependent on if the WWE, the machine, know how to market Danhausen and play to his strengths. And we're going to see if he's going to just appear here and there on Raw and SmackDown, maybe on NXT, AAA, what have you. But yeah, I'm morbidly curious to see like what they have in store for Danhausen. That's just me as the fan. And him debuting at Elimination Chamber, like this kind of seemed like a pre-show kind of reveal. I wouldn't have had this on like the main show. But again, it was like one of those like, all right, we had our world title match. Let's not like cool it down a little bit, but let's just like throw this in there in the middle between there and the chamber.
Listen, the presentation was cool. Like with the crate, probably a good idea, right? Because it's
Danhausen got pyro.
I like the coffin. I like Pierce in all this.
They're like, yeah, we're done.
We're done. Like we're getting far off the camera, but I like that. There was part of it I liked, but it's just it's like stupid.
Like the thing is, like, that might be part of the joke though too, you know what I mean, where it's just like so over the top that it just falls flat on its face, where it's like, oh, all right, do I put it on like the gobbledygooker level? No.
But that was hyped. This wasn't
like this one. I feel like because they hyped it for about 2 weeks, right, across both shows.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if they just left it at 1 week, I think people would have accepted it a little bit better.
I felt that the crowd expected part B. It's like, all right, it's Danhausen, but what is Danhausen going to present to us?
What's he going to do?
He presented fucking teeth to Michael Cole, and then he went under the ring, and then it was poof, he was gone. So it was just like they were taking it all in. I don't think they were disinterested, but I don't think they were invested. Let's just put it that way.
They were more.
Like, right, what is this car crash?
It's like, why is he here?
Yes. It was just,
whose side is he on?
The why just turned into, oh, this is why, like, whatever. So, one last Danhausen question: do you think we will get Danhausen versus Roman Reigns to lead into the WrestleMania main event?
I wish. I wish.
Honestly, I kind of want to see that match.
Just him like offering like instead of like the Ula follow, it's just like it made of teeth. You know what I mean? And it's just like Roman just chokes Danhausen out. But him and Punk are close, so I'm sure Punk put in a good word for him. And there are people who are going to get his act. There are people who are not going to get his act, but that's pretty much wrestling in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And if you like heard Danhausen talk, he's like very quirky. So if it's like that's your type of humor, you're going to connect with him fairly quickly. But there are going to be people who are just not going to get it. And I just hope enough people get it so that he has like enough staying power within WWE.
Yeah, I could see this getting just ditched in a way too. Like it could be here, it could be, and then it could be a flash in the pan, and then he's a part of YouTube series. It's like, hey, remember Danhausen, remember TL Hopper, remember, you know what I mean? Just remember the fucking.
You could be like a Phantasmo,
the magic guy, you know?
Oh, do you remember the Phantasmo guy?
Yeah, remember Phantasmo?
Yeah, he should have been more. I want to see more Phantasmo.
Like I said, it's probably going to be harmless, but
yeah,
I kind of want Roman Reigns versus Danhausen on a Raw.
Well, if you pick up 2K26.
I think 2K13 was the last one I played.
Yeah.
All right, Michael Chandler and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Little Yachty were shown in the front row before the main event, and then they announced 19,346 fans.
I don't believe that number.
But even so, you didn't really see. There was not much emptiness, right? And the second biggest, I think Punk said on the pre-show, the post show, the second biggest house in company history or something like that for an arena.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was a success. 19 or what paper, 2-for-1 deals, whatever. Like it's still, I'm sure it was still a box office success, right? And that's good for Punk in the long run to show what he has for juice.
What he brings to the table, no pun intended.
And I like that he can add that to his plate versus Roman to make that match even feel bigger, because Roman's going to bring all the statistics and everything there too as well.
Yeah, and that's what I want my feud to be, just throwing out stats against each other.
All right, home stretch here. The men's elimination chamber. LA Knight, Trick Williams, Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul with Austin Theory and Paul Heyman, Randy Orton and Javon Emmons. The winner was to face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 42, 25 minutes.
I was going to say
25 minutes and 20 seconds. Randy Orton defeats Cody Rhodes. Now, did the ring announcer call Javon Evans Javon Williams?
Yes, he did.
All right, yeah.
And I was just like, oh, well. And kudos to Javon. He just kind of like played it off. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what are you going to do at that point? I do like how Javon is kind of taking over Cena with the Stu call outs.
It's smart.
He's like, I'm scared, Stu, but we're gonna go into it anyway. So it's like a nice little thing to help you connect with Javon Evans if you're new to his presentation.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I like that they put Trick in with the entrance first. I felt that
he had the little spin the deal, too. Looks like a star.
He looks and feels like a star tenfold. And
out of all the call-ups that we've ever gotten on NXT, and I'm talking about since NXT was formerly in 2012, he might be the best integrated that I've seen so seamlessly, presentation wise, character wise. He just fits, and that kind of makes sense considering that they pegged him for greatness very early on. He was on Raw when he was the North American champion.
Yeah.
He was on Raw when he was a TNA champion, albeit during the commercial break. The one that I kind of see, you could maybe put maybe the Shield guys, but they weren't really the Shield in NXT at that point. You might put Kevin Owens on there. I think Kevin Owens would be the other one. But Trick Williams, so far, they have portrayed him perfectly.
Yeah, he's kind of a can't miss with the highest ceiling out of anyone in NXT in a very long time, probably since Braun Breaker. But I think he has more intangibles to be more of a crossover than Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker maybe is a little safer WWE superstar. Trick Williams has ceiling is beyond.
Braun has that Randy in him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it's Randy's going to be the guy for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Like Trick, I could see him he's going to get he's with WWE, but it's he could very easily parlay that into other projects.
Yeah, and that he could be wanted for other projects.
Yeah.
Speaking of Randy, is Randy still milking his entrance, by the way? I think he is.
Well, when I saw he qualified for the Elimination Chamber, I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to be in the pod. He's not going to start this matchup with, especially at this age. He's aura farming, he's aura farming, but at the same time,
his wife was right there though, he's he's you're gonna get all this tonight, honey. Don't you relax. Yeah,
the thing is plus the red gear too. The thing is with Randy. Yeah, the thing is with Randy, it's he knows what he needs to do, right? He knows how to get by, so to speak. He out of everybody in WWE, he's probably the cleanest movement wise. He's probably his in-ring psychology is so good. His timing is probably the best out of everybody. So he knows when to take his time. And of course, with the entrance, and even said I was thinking about changing my theme music when I was coming back, but then they went to France when he had that match with KO against the Solo and Tama, and he's like, yeah, we're keeping this for a bit. Like this is evergreen at this point, and that's what the Randy Orton presentation is. Now, a lot of people have been disappointed with how Randy Orton has been positioned in WWE. I think last year he hasn't really been on many PLEs. Like you had him at Mania, you had him at SummerSlam, you had him at Backlash, and I think that might have been it. I could be mistaken, but like again, they're toning down Randy's presentation because again, you want to save Randy for these big spots when they finally have something for him to do. And this is probably his biggest spot since probably last year's match against John.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, he's in that main event position. You just need to be smart on where you present him in the main event.
And then Cody entered last too, right? And then we would start with Cody and Javon. Cody controlled early with a headlock, crowd saying Cody I hate that fucking chant, by the way. Javon showed early flashes in a back and forth of a good 5 minutes. I really like the idea of presenting Javon and Cody for the first 5 minutes just to see what it would look like, right? Because they're not going to go out there and have a SmackDown match probably or a match, so to speak, but to present them inside the chamber for 5 minutes. Cody is at where he's at in his career, probably the quarterback, still the top guy. And then Javon is on the rise. Let's see how he looks. And I thought it was a good mix of just enough for Javon and Cody is who he is. We're going to ground you and level you off, but show you who Javon could be in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like how they started with Javon and Cody, just because Cody's kind of like the measuring stick, for better or for worse, when you talk about modern day WWE in terms of consistent main event guy. That's you could argue he's the face of the company. At least he's the face.
He probably is.
Yeah, he's like the face of SmackDown at least. Probably all of WWE at this point, but Javon's on Raw, so he's not going to get that many opportunities to face off against main event guys right off the bat. He had that match with Gunther. He had the triple threat with Gunther, and that's pretty much the only solid main event guy that we've seen him face off against thus far. And like just starting up there and just showing what Javon can do, and having Javon do the signature spots, and having Cody kind of be the base for him. I thought that was a excellent choice.
All right, and then Trick would enter third here, slam Cody on a platform at ringside, took control in the ring, hitting spin wheel kicks on Cody. Fans chanted, "Whip that Trick." Hit a bookend on Cody and Javon for a near fall. And then Cole compared Trick to Booker T. The one thing I don't like about Trick, side note here, is I like most of his phrases, but whatever he says, grown folks are talking. I don't like that one for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Like, I don't know why I don't like it. Like, grown folks are talking. Like, I don't. That's one. He never feels forced to me. He's always organic and over and cool. That one just feels like forced for some whatever reason. I don't know. That's a me thing, but whatever. Logan Paul enters, immediately gets swarmed, which I like.
That was a good bit
to play into the Logan Paul story, which we'll get into here. But he would kind of find, after getting swarmed, he would find control and kind of. It's weird to think that like this is the Bronson Reed spot, because it's hard not to think it that way, because obviously this is the Bronson Reed spot.
No, you look at this match and I was the same way, where I'm just I'm like, this was supposed to be Bronson, because it's like you had Logan, take out half the field, right? But reality is Bronson was pretty much lined up for this spot, and Logan and Bronson are two completely different competitors.
From a dominant standpoint,
yeah.
Yes.
So it's like with Logan, what do you do? Well, it's like you got to do the heel thing, like with Javon. Okay, I can kind of accept. Scary spot though, very scary rotation.
It's funny. Yeah. It's funny. But LA Knight enters, targeting Logan, stomps him in the corner, leaping neck breaker on Trick. Logan climbs the pod. Javon and Knight join him. Knight and Javon toss Logan off the pod onto Cody and Trick. A Knight attempts a BFT off the pod roof. And then lastly, Randy enters the pod, and we are all in it. Immediate impact, clotheslines Trick and Logan, snap power slam to both, plays to the crowd, tosses Trick outside of the ring. High spot in a first elimination. Javon tries a flag splash off the pod onto Trick. Logan hits a pulverizer, by the way, which looked fucking phenomenal. I had to rewind.
That was scary. That was a
I
scary spot,
rewound and was like, "Holy shit! Did he fucking kill him?"
yeah.
And that he didn't. He tucked him. It looked great. I
Yeah.
think the hair kind of played into the benefit of being like, "Oh shit, is he dead?" But yeah, he hit him in the back, tucked him. Phenomenal, Matt. Phenomenal looking finisher there. And I'm not surprised Javon was out first, but I thought that it was the right choice, and they shined him just enough.
He was in the he was in the RVD spot with in the first chamber, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's there to like do his stuff and then he's out of there.
All right, and then we get LA Knight. LA Knight's out second, which on paper I don't love. But
it was probably going to be a tsunami splash, that's why.
Well, do you think he went for his own tsunami splash and that's why he slipped?
Well, you know, it's like go big or go home, you know. Yeah, this is a chance to be the champion of Mania, brother. Like you gotta you gotta do all the things.
I think he had his lifts in and he went for his move and his lifts were in and he caught his balance. Well, I will say
he did catch himself. He did
catch himself and delivered it like
on the ground.
He stumbled into organically looking fine, but you know, it kind of turned one into what it was. And I don't love he's out second, and I don't love that it's coming right after a botch, but he's protected with a low blow. And so Logan hit a pulverizer, and then he hit a low blow for his 2 eliminations. And I like that Knight got the low blow aspect of it from instead of
because you don't want to put him in like the trick spot where he's gonna get hit with like one of Cody or Randy's finishers, right? And then he's out, because that's pretty much what happened in the Rumble. Cody just like disaster kicked him out of there. So you gotta like the thing is, again, he has an out. That's the thing. He has an out. Is it a good out? Is it a bad out? That's up to interpretation.
Yeah, and then 3 guys go after Logan. He kind of dissipates, and then they catch Trick, or Cody catches Trick with his finisher, and then Logan opportunistically kind of throws Cody into the corner and steals the pinfall on Trick. I felt that it was a little clunky where the ref got in the way, and it wasn't WrestleMania 9 where he was just, or 19 where Booker T was laying there waiting as a dead corpse, but it's like it felt a little prolonged for Trick just to lay there to get climbed on and get the pin.
Like I thought it's like if he just kind of added like you know what was Trick punched into the crossroads, or did he just get?
I think they were just wrestling within sequence and he got caught.
Okay, because like if Logan did like the knockout punch, you know, I think that would have been, you know, that would have added into it, in my opinion.
Yep, but you got a pulverizer, you got a low blow, and then you got a crossroads stolen pinfall. So Logan Paul in the Bronson Reed spot, eliminating 3 guys. You know, the plan was the plan, Richie. There's no other way to look at it.
Listen, the Vision has a plan. All the things that's happened to the Vision was a part of the plan. Seth getting injured, part of the plan. Braun getting injured, part of the plan. Bronson getting injured, part of the plan. Just so we could build up Logan Paul. That's part of the plan.
Not quite. All right, the Masked Man chaos. The Masked Man attempts to climb the cage and removed by security. And I'm assuming that it is another Seth Rollins trainee from the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, and I like that twist of it. I don't think that these guys are going to be
they're not going to be characters on screen,
characters on TV, but I like the idea that he has disciples or he has trainees instead of like Code, or instead of like Logan or Theory really being built from within to kind of crack the Vision. Seth is I like the pivot. Let's put it that way. They're pivoting in the story way too much, but it is what it is. They have to because of the injuries. But I like this specific pivot for the nuance of his students getting some shine for their indie bookings, of course. And then 2, 1, are they future stars that are signed by the WWE, and will they play into something? But really in the here and the now, that Seth's students were working for him, and then Seth has an ultimate plan to kind of get back at the Vision. So I like that part. I like that part of the pivot, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think this is the second year that Seth was the benefactor of the Elimination Chamber. And another fun thing, I didn't realize this until I scrolled my social media feed, but remember that U.S. title chamber?
Yes. Very good.
So the finish was Logan hitting the stomp on Seth, which caused Theory to win the match, and now Seth did the same to Logan, and Theory's involved in it. So, and something that I felt was pretty interesting because I don't think they cut back the Theory, did they? They showed Paul Heyman's shocked face,
Yeah.
but like theoretically, no pun intended, if Seth Rollins did that to Logan, where would Theory be? Did he follow the other masked man guy to the back, or like
I guess that's something to keep an eye on, Richie. That could
yeah.
be in retrospect, in a few weeks, that could be something good to look at. But
Mhm.
I feel that Theory is supplanted in the Vision as is.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Mhm.
I felt so obviously when Chaos
Mhm.
kind of dissipates and they get rid of the masked guy, and Trick finally leaves the ring
Mhm.
off the elimination. That's where Rollins slides in.
Yeah,
And
I thought it was done well too, like because
yes, I
he
thought
kind
it
of
was
like
done well.
blended in, a lot, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually a pretty cool
And
shot.
by his movements, I would say that he's fully healed. Well, granted, all his movements were lower body movements.
I think he was cleared to do the stomp, and I don't think I don't think we're like 100% cleared yet, but it's like you're not going to see him do another match on the road to WrestleMania. I think you might have like a Gaga match with Theory, and then
Yeah.
he'll get attacked by like maybe Logan and Braun, depending on if Braun's cleared by that point. But like I think he's well aware, like he's probably ready to go.
Yeah, but at this point of his ready to go-ness, 7 weeks away from WrestleMania, I showed promise on how athletic he looked.
Mhm.
Like he looked really good, and the reveal was good. And he left, and they started chanting the whoa. But I thought his facials were strong.
Mhm.
We didn't get like a stupid sarcastic laugh. We got a sinister like
Like he did like a deep breath in and deep breath out too, which I
yes,
thought was like
because building blocks wise is like he should have the equity of that WrestleMania win last year
Mhm.
into the Vision, and like he should still have that because winning that match upped his star level, right?
Yeah.
It upped his presentation, and all that was eventually supposed to go to supplant into the Vision. But I feel that the obviousness of him returning still played into the acceptance and the thank God of that he like it was finally him, and we can kind of move past the hooded stuff and get to it. I didn't really think that on SmackDown it was a write-off. I thought it was a part of the story.
Yeah, and another thing with the story, I think depending on the status of Braun Breaker, it will be revealed that probably Logan and Theory attacked Jay. Because Theory did post that Instagram photo of Jay working out backstage. So that's your world tag title match theoretically, and then you have Braun and Seth.
If Braun's ready, or do they mold them together for a 6-way chaotic? Because I think that if Breaker and Reed were ready, I thought that we would maybe see a lane where you get like a Reed and a Logan, or a Reed and a Theory versus the Usos, maybe. So
yeah, like I think that's gonna be like like that's the only thing if Braun's ready at this point. But yeah, Braun, best of luck to his recovery for this match, because I think as messy as his story is, like there's something that can still kind of be salvaged from it. It just kind of depends on where the pieces are on the chessboard at this point.
yeah,
And like again, it's a messy story. Like I know like one of the things that people were saying, it's like, oh, why is Seth going for Logan and Austin? Because they weren't even part of the Vision when Seth got taken out. But but again, there was a backstage segment with Becky saying like
it's Heyman.
Like the thing is the main thing is Seth versus Heyman. That's the feud going into
That's what it
Mania.
should be, especially with the equity from WrestleMania 41.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, and Becky said it's like Seth's going to go for Heyman's boy, whoever it is. And luckily they kept it vague. That vagueness paid off for them. So it's like it makes sense why Seth is going for Logan and Theory, because they're attached to Paul.
Here's the story. Coming out of WrestleMania 41, Seth and Paul had a vision to come together. Seth had the vision stolen from him from Paul Heyman because he became hurt and his usefulness to the vision became obsolete. Right? So, and the vision was always a vehicle in Paul Heyman's rhyme to stay relevant, to bring up the next future. He used Seth Rollins as a vehicle to get to the future. The story is
the thing is, you could play it as like Paul, like Seth can be like, Paul, it's like you said you're one what's best for the future, but it looks like ever since you took over, the future has been getting
Yeah.
bleaker and bleaker for, Bronson. And,
Handicap, no pun intended.
yeah, it's like now you have Logan, you have Theory. And again, I'm very curious because it's like, again, you did this whole rebrand on Austin Theory, right? And you had Paul Heyman compare him to Shawn Michaels when he was in the Rockers, which again is a very
Very Paul Heyman thing to do.
It's one very Paul Heyman do very like you're setting up the bar like right here, right, for Theory, and if he's only like slightly below that in presentation, then it's not going to work out for Theory. And I think that kind of shows because Logan's the backup, of the backup.
Well, I like, not to go on a tangent, but I like the presentation of the pressure with Austin Theory because, one, if he were to ever break away, he has a singles babyface run on him, and the pressure maybe cracked him, and he found him. You know what I mean? Or the pressure is such a minimal thing where he could be the pressure of the force in the vision, right? It's a very flexible presentation of him to let him to find his footing. But
and the thing is, Heyman's a big fan of Theory too, so it's like
I hope it works out.
Yeah, and the thing is with Theory, it's like I hope he's in a prominent spot at WrestleMania, but if Braun isn't back in time, then I don't see him getting that spot.
I honestly like him and Logan versus the Usos. I do.
Yeah, I think that's my preferred direction. But again, it just kind of work because again, it gives Logan a title because I think they'd probably win. It gives Logan a title. It gives Theory a title. And
I think it's cool. Yeah.
That's what it is. But again, it's this whole Vision storyline didn't really set up what it needed to do because, you end off night one of WrestleMania with Seth and Paul. And now we're just kind of in the spot.
It could be a Judgment Day where they find their footing heading out of this WrestleMania.
Yeah. That's what I kind of, because you had the Edge thing because the Vision with Seth as the lead role just wasn't really clicking with me personally.
No.
I thought when Seth got kicked out, I'm like, okay, this is kind of good. But then it's like, they kind of, meandered a little bit with Braun and Bronson. So again, we'll see.
All right. This is the part of the match that I really enjoyed and I thought was very, very smart. So Drew is going to play it. We'll get to Drew as we go, but he sneaks another guy sneaking into the Elimination Chamber. But
they have a lock on it. Why don't you just lock it?
Very strategically, I like that Drew slipped in here. He enters the chamber and hits Cody with the belt, attempts a Claymore. I like that Cody avoided it, and then Cody was on the charge to get his hands on Drew because Drew has been at him and strategic to keep him away from the title, which has been the through line this whole time. And I thought that Cody felt extremely good. I like the presentation of Cody catching Drew to kind of eliminate him so he can go on to WrestleMania. But I love this RKO distraction because it wasn't menacing. It doesn't change Randy Orton who he is. It doesn't change Randy Orton's presentation. It plays into Randy hesitating at King in the Ring. What was that last year last year when he faced Cody in the finals? He had Cody and he hesitated. This time he had Cody and he was opportunistic, and it didn't hurt his modern day trajectory as a babyface or his presentation.
Well, another thing that I really liked about it, because remember a couple weeks ago, Cody said to Sammy, it's because Sammy was poo-pooing that, Cody took advantage, but Cody's like, I have to take advantage because these shots aren't going to happen here and there. But it's now it's Cody's on the other end of that spectrum as well with Randy getting that RKO. So it's is Cody going to keep the same ideology? But again, it's we're going to get to what's going to happen on SmackDown, but I do love the tie back to and the callback to King of the Ring, where it's Orton hesitated and now he didn't hesitate this time. And he even said, it's he's like, do I feel bad about RKO and Cody? No, not really, because he's I'm going to WrestleMania. You know what I mean? And I think we're in for a 4-way. I'm just going to say it right now. I think we're in for a 4-way just because if you watch the build up to Elimination Chamber, Drew hit everybody with the championship. That is a part of the story. You had Randy, you had Jacob, and now you have Cody all being hit with the title. So all of them are still tied together in some way, shape, or form. So it just kind of depends on how you build from there. Personally, I would like it to be revealed that Randy was the one who took out Jacob Fatu, because again, we still haven't had that bow on that story right now. So it's like I feel like that's the big thing that will tie everyone together because Randy's kind of like the oddish man out because you don't have that
Yeah,
tie
I
between
just don't
Randy and Jacob.
with that, Richie. I just don't know if will the fans accept that though? Will the fans accept that, and will those boos transition into cheers for Jacob and or Cody?
Well, I mean, like since it's Jacob, I feel like because Jacob's more of a Shades of Grey kind of character, you could play it either way. With
Yeah,
Randy, like it really depends on how he's gonna be like
I think it's tabled.
portrayed.
I think that storyline's tabled for something maybe
I
at
mean they
WrestleMania
keep
or after
yeah.
WrestleMania with Fatu.
I mean, Jacob mentioned it last week on SmackDown, so I
Yeah,
do think it's not like
the reveal. I meant
yeah,
tabled. I
yeah,
meant the
yeah. So
reveal.
it's
Yeah,
like I think the reveal like you can do it, Randy. You know, Randy's still popular. People are still gonna cheer for Randy. Uh,
but
again,
what
you
would the
want
my thing is, Richie. I'm
Mhm,
sorry, but I think that Randy Orton inserting himself into the match was in the chamber. I don't think he
mhm.
needs a characteristic change. I think his character as is kind of perfect for what it is heading into
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
yeah, just that, just adding like a little like sprinkle to it because it's like
Yeah,
everybody's connected except Randy and Jacob right now. You
I
know what
think
I
the
mean?
title connects them. Yeah,
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's like you want that like because you know you had the Drew and Cody rivalry, you had Jacob being taken out, you had the Cody Jacob issue, you have Jacob and Drew, and now you have Randy who's kind of connected to everybody except for Jacob. So I figured that would be like that last line to like kind of connect with Randy with this making more of a complete story. But again, we have 7 weeks towards it, so whether they do that or not, like again, it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, but we'll see. I'm surprised we didn't get Fatu tonight, but I don't think he was needed.
Hmm.
Let's talk SmackDown.
Hmm.
Any way that they flip the title. I don't think so, but I think you have to say it because is the plan was the plan not to do Drew versus Cody, but the plan was to do Cody versus Randy, and
Hmm.
this is just like a full circle way of kind of getting there.
Like my first thought is all right, fatal four way. My second thought is they could do Cody and Randy because you know Jacob's more focused on Drew,
Yeah,
but the four-way option now seems a little bit more interesting towards me to me.
as it does with me, and I think that there's plenty enough matches to fill in there. It does feel like Sammy's on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he inserted himself in here. Is there any way that it is Cody Sammy at WrestleMania? Is that more interesting?
Mhm.
And then we go three-way with Fatu.
I
And
mean,
it
with
plays into your RKO attacking Fatu thing with and then you have like and they just totally take Cody out and put him in a Sammy match because honestly, that may be the most interesting thing for Cody in a character way.
I think for the Sammy character because he had that confrontation with Cody and Jacob, right? You
Yeah.
know, similar things. I think we might get Sammy and Alistair, and that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Sammy to turn. Honestly, I think I wouldn't count
Very,
out
very
Drew.
CrossFit vibes.
Yeah, 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 right.
Oof.
Uh, but like I enjoy Alistair Black more as a worker than I do Cross. I will say
Mm.
that. But with Sammy, I feel like him kind of like joining Drew at the end, you know, kind of being like the person that like fully succumbs to like trying to be this like lawful good kind of character and now is going complete 180 because he sees his friends like Cody and Jacob kind of not like being like clear cut good guys like he is, and it becomes like an anti-villain kind of spot where it's like he's trying to do good but he's harming everybody along the way. So I don't see him like in the WWE championship match, but I could see him in this storyline kind of being like, do you remember Just Joe?
Yeah, from
Yeah,
99.
kind of like instigating a little bit. So I could see him um do a similar segment this week at SmackDown with Randy, and then you know it's like you know, he apologizes. He's like, I'm sorry. I was talking out of my, but then he just
He's
like
just the
destroys
least interesting part of SmackDown to me. Yeah.
Sammy.
Oh, no. Oh, I thought
Uh,
Alistair. Yeah, Sammy.
no,
Sammy's incredible.
no, yeah. Like I'm just seeing like Sammy being like convinced by Alistair to kind of like do these like bad things. But again, what I like about the WWE title picture that I haven't liked for a while is like before it was like a revolving door of challengers, right? Where it's like you didn't set up multiple challengers in a row, but now it's like we have, Randy winning the chamber, you have Cody tied to Drew, Jacob tied to Drew. It makes it feel a little bit more chaotic, and
Yeah. The chaos is a good thing for TV in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of like the McMahon at every corner, except you're not bogged down by the McMahon aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Because
Hopefully we get a little better result than that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Stone Cold's going to return at Backlash in Tampa, help Cody win the title. But yeah, I could honestly see like any of these guys winning at WrestleMania if that is the plan.
Yeah, I think the 4-way is probably the right bet. Even though I think if I would be open to them going and branching off into other individual singles or triples as well.
Mhm.
We'll see because there's like an odd number. I think 4 is the cap, like you said. But if they go 5, they kind of have to go 6, and you might as well insert Trick and insert Hell in the Cell and just do that old school
they've
thing.
been building Trick and Sammy too.
They could do that. That's what Malik thought they were going to do too.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like because it was because people are saying it's like, oh, he's going to turn babyface. It's like, no, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Leave him as is.
Yeah, like he's like,
yeah.
Like, and plus it's like on the heel side on SmackDown, he's arguably like the second biggest heel they have.
Yeah.
Behind Drew. So it's like, again, I wouldn't change anything about his presentation.
So, all right, Richie, a little long in the tooth here. I didn't suspect to go this long, but hey, when you get in the weeds, you get in the weeds.
Yeah.
Overall, I think the sentiment, like we kind of always say, is like, maybe the show just wasn't as good. But when you digest it a little bit, I think this is a hard 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's where I am too. It's like it was fine. Again, it gets bogged down just by like the pacing a little bit of the show in general. But all the matches, like, they did their job to get to the next point. And I feel like since now we're on that road to WrestleMania, you kind of want to look more for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, Richie, that's it. I got to run out of here and get this up. So thanks for joining me. And I'm looking forward to the road to WrestleMania. I think that they're kind of holding back on a few things, and they have a few things in the holster to kind of propel them buzz-wise, as they should anyway. So we'll see, Richie. Richie, this is fun. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.